The 7th week of the Bushfire Royal Commission has brought the suggestion that fire refuges could be revived across Victoria. It also saw the fire chief from the Department of Sustainability return to the witness box for the first time since the initial week of hearings. For more, Royal Commission reporter Jane Cowan joins me now. So Jane, what did Euan Waller have to say about the adequacy of the warnings that were given?
Well, Tamara, he was actually lost for words at one point. He acknowledged that there were no surprises in where the fires burnt to on Black Saturday, but he said the system came under a lot of pressure. He said that management did make efforts to make sure the warnings were going out on Black Saturday, but he said those efforts didn't extend to checking the content of those messages. Here's what happened.
So it's easy now to sit back with hindsight and say this should have happened. But you've got to understand the pressure within what's happening at any point in time, and it is immense. It is immense.
The sense of dread in the IECC didn't incorporate in any of the messages on its on both agencies' websites the potential of that front. If the Incident Control Centre missed it, the Regional Coordination Centre missed it. And if they missed it, the IECC missed it. How can that happen?
All I can say is the pressure of the day.
So Euan Waller didn't get as hard a time as his counterpart in the CFA, Russell Rees, got. That's possibly because many of these shortcomings, Tamara, have been examined in detail previously, but also because Euan Waller will be brought back for further questioning later in the hearings.
As we've mentioned, the prospect of reinstating community fire refuges has been raised. What was said about that this week?
Well, the Commission was told that the rules and regulations governing these fire refuges have been too onerous. Fire scientist David Packham said that you can achieve quite safe conditions without having such high standards that virtually any building or open space can't meet the criteria. Here's what was said.
You can have very safe conditions without meeting their minimum things, and the reason is that the science behind those things is very weak. I'd be very happy at a shopping centre, for example. It seems a bit of a almost overkill to me to build absolutely bomb-proof fire shelters everywhere. My suggestion was that they actually should build public toilets. And the reason for building public toilets, a public toilet is a rather good sort of place to shelter if a bushfire is roaring around you.
Let's assume a new regime where refuges are designated either under Mr Packham's model or Mr Nicholson's model, and that they include open spaces like racecourses, ovals, car parks, where appropriate.
It's a simple request that if this recommendation for fire refuges go forward, that we get the indemnity to protect these communities and councils, and we get a funding source, and then we'll go along merrily and deliver them.
So that was a hypothetical discussion there, but the Commissioners have made it clear that they're favouring a multi-pronged approach, an approach that doesn't just involve stay or go, but provides a plan B or C or D for when things do go wrong.
And Jane, just a question without notice, briefly. Was it a surprise that that was actually put on the table this week?
The issue of fire refuges?
Yes.
Well, I guess it's one of the pressing points, and given that this first block of hearings is designed at making recommendations that can be put in place for next summer, because there's no reason that this summer won't be just as bad as last, I suppose it was predictable in a way that refuges would come up.
OK, Jane Cowan at the Bushfires Royal Commission, thanks for joining us this evening.
Thank you.